Okay, so this is the second part of internal states, where I'm going to discuss how to tackle internal states from different modalities. Okay, so because the internal states talks about the how the neurological processing is happening, how the information processing is happening at the moment, because the client is working in a specific internal state, and how to really approach a client who is operating from a particular internal state. Now, first, let's take the example of psychodynamics theory. Psychodynamics talks about the dynamics between different states, different sub-personalities and personalities that is operating within our psyche. So, when I'm discussing internal states, there is a specific sub-personality which has a specific agenda. Like when we are talking about a person who is hungry, okay, now how can we address hunger? Craving for love, okay, that can be one thing. When the client is having some or the other kind of need or deficiencies, okay, as Fispers talks about character deficiency or growth deficiencies, when you are getting cases of addiction or clients who have dysfunctional relationship with their parents, okay, or passive aggression also, you are going to tackle the issue of the need first, right? In psychodynamics, we work around the needs of the client, and we try to bring homeostasis or equilibrium between different aspects of the psyche. So while we are discussing the internal state, there is one internal state the client is operating from, and there is another internal state that your client wants to reach. Okay, so from an internal state of feeling forsaken or lonely, we want our client to shift to a hopeful internal state, right? So what we do in psychodynamics, we try to see the agenda behind the internal state that the client is operating from, and we bring both the preferred and the current operative internal state, and we bring them together, and we initiate a number of interventions, psychodynamic interventions. Okay, so as a therapist or as a counselor, your main job when you are employing psychodynamic modalities is to check what is the internal state, and in the internal state what specific need is still unfulfilled. Okay, unless and until you are not addressing the need, helping them satisfy that need, you cannot shift them from one state to another. Like in case of a trauma, okay, the client is still in fight and flight. That means safety needs are still pending. So in psychodynamic theories that we teach, okay, I teach how to help these people achieve some sense of safety, the required sense of safety, and that's how they will now take their own decision, their own willpower, okay, to move from their internal state. So there are other techniques as well, like conscious techniques as well, right? Breathing techniques, mindfulness based techniques, they work, but they have to be reinforced over and over again. But trauma is something that is so strong, the neural dynamics become heavily reinforced. So in order to break a moment of trauma, the neurological processing of a one moment of a trauma, it takes like 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 days of conscious working. But you can also work, okay, in psychodynamic modality to break that particular trauma in a manner of 1 or 2 hours. Okay, now let's see how hypnotherapy takes care of it. So now hypnotherapy is a psychoanalytic theory, right? And if you are into past life regression, let me tell you, internal states are something that that we consider as a part of a trauma, okay, that is getting inherited from parents, okay, from the generation, that is called intergenerational trauma, or they may also be coming from past life. So we call these states, we do not recognize these states as internal states, we call them hangover lifetime while we are discussing hypnotherapy. So what is a hangover? It's a hangover is like a significant period of a past life went in a particular way of in a particular way, or the neurological processing or the phase in which the entire life went through has been significant, and now in the next lifetime that unprocessed neurological functionings are getting carried over to the next lifetime. So you may when you are dealing with these kind of clients, you may not find any relevant precondition why the client is going through this particular, why the client is lingering on this kind of a mental or emotional state. Okay, so in hypnotherapy we discuss it as a hangover lifetime. What we do, we regress our client to that particular lifetime. Okay, and then we resolve that particular lifetime, and then we allow our client to come back to their current life. Okay, so what happens, the load of the previous lifetime there, okay, it significantly reduces, and then we start working on the conscious side of the entire neurological processing, and we see how it is affecting their psychology, their behavior. Okay, another way of dealing with internal state in CBT is, let's talk about CBT, because let's talk about cognitive behavior therapies, right? So we are working on the cognition side of the internal state. Now, because I talked about internal state is all about a specific agenda, and it also carries strong mental postulates. Okay, I have to have this. This is the this can be a common mental postulate of someone who is operating in an internal state of hunger. Okay, in case of an arousal, I have to tell this, I have to do this. This can be a mental postulate for someone who is operating from an internal state of arousal. So in CBT, when we want our client to shift from one internal state to the another, we have to work on the mental postulate, the thought patterns, and their belief systems. Okay, that you can do through CBT. Okay, now in Jungian perspective, Jung says that we have to suffer legitimately for our growth. And if we are stuck at a particular phase of our life or a state of our life, and we are not moving, we are not showing any growth, and that suffering is inevitable. Okay, so in Jungian perspective, what we can do for internal states is to bring together the polar opposites. Okay, the one who wants to be stuck in a particular internal state and the one who wants growth. Okay, you have to bring two polar opposites and then find and actualize a dialogue between them. Okay, and you will notice how the one who is stuck in the previous or the predominant internal state himself wants to shift, and you have to keep on focusing on the will or the need of shifting, because this particular internal, the opposite internal state is totally opposite. Okay, so here the progress has already happened, or all the resources for the progresses are there. So you just create or initiate a dialogue between these two and let the process happen naturally. Okay, Jungian philosophy is very natural. They want everything to happen organically, and you have to just notice and understand. So this is it. We have discussed how to handle internal states by psychodynamic, hypnotherapy, CBT, and Jungian perspective. For more, stay tuned.